Now, to make marriage great, it all starts with the right partner. And this is the one thing that basically can make or break the marriage and make or break you by extension. So it's all about choosing the right partner. And to choose the right partner, you have to know what you are choosing for, what factors you have to look for. So, and there are basically three things that you need to look for. Three factors. The first factor is very simple, but I don't think people actually realize it, and I haven't seen any of these psychologists or relationship experts actually give it. And that is, you both need to be able to get along just as you are. I know it sounds really simple, but you'll be amazed. So many people do not realize that and do not choose on that factor. I mean, I guess, yes, there's an attraction factor there when you first meet someone, or I guess there's an attraction so that it makes you want to get to know them a bit more. It makes you want to, hang around them and so forth. That's fine. Hang around them, but you have to make sure that you are getting along just by being yourself. Okay? There's no pretense. And that's the reason, and why the reason is because we have to be ourselves. We can only ever be happy if we're able to be ourselves. Sometimes you might, see some really hot person, hot dude or hot chick, and think, you really want to be with them. And so you try to adjust your behavior or present a certain way that you think they'll be attracted to, and then keep it going. But you know what? After a while, it gets tiring. It gets tiring trying to be and act something that you're not. And if that's not what you are, you can only keep it up for so long, and then you have to give it up because it's tiring and you need to be yourself. And so what happens? And so the relationship would break up. And so for any longevity in relationship, you actually have to get along by being yourself. Imagine being loved for what you are. Okay, you're yourself all the time. And because of that, you're going to be loved all the time because that person loves you just for you, the way you are. You naturally get along. And so that's fantastic. And so it means you get along all the time. And that, you actually need to enjoy each other's company. And there were all these experts saying how you need to make an effort to make it work and set aside time for each other, and so to speak. And I guess a lot of couples in trouble say they have problems, making the time for each other and so forth and so forth. But hang on, if you do enjoy each other's company, then you're going to make that time. Just like you would make a time to see that favorite program. I mean, I know there were heaps of Game of Thrones fans and fans of Friends and so forth, and Seinfeld back then, before they had streaming and so forth. So people were really diligent, making sure they're there in front of their TV when Seinfeld was on or Friends was on, or really making sure they got a hold of the next episode of the Game of Thrones. So why wasn't that an effort? Because you really enjoyed it. You enjoyed watching that and you didn't want to miss an episode. In fact, there were people that never missed an episode of Seinfeld. And so you can do that, but why can't you make time to sit down and spend time with your partner? Because it's not enjoyable. You don't enjoy your partner's company that much. And if you don't, then it's not going to last. Because it really shows the love or the lack of love in that relationship or in that marriage. So best thing is you have to be able to enjoy each other's company. And if you do, you always want to. I mean, just think about it. Almost everyone has a best friend. Yeah? Now that person became your best friend. Why? Because you got along so well. And because of that, you enjoyed each other's company. So you made the time to see each other. You miss each other. If you haven't seen each other for a while, like something, you feel like something's missing. Okay. And is it an effort to make time to see your best friend? A lot of people would admit, if they were to be honest, they'll admit, no, it wasn't an effort because they wanted. So why is it an effort for you to make time to spend with your partner? I know you see each other every day, but it's spending the time with each other. Okay. And you hear a lot of couples that have golden anniversaries and people are asking them, tell us, what's the secret? How did you do it? And most often than not, they say because their partner, their spouse, their husband, their wife is their best friend. So when it's your best friend, you enjoy spending time with each other. And that bodes well for a life together, a long life together. Because like I was saying, look, it's very simple if you just want someone for a bit of fun. I mean, all you need is someone good looking and fun, yeah? That's all you need. Don't overthink it. But when you want to find someone that you can share a life with and spend the rest of your life with, you have to put a lot of consideration on it because it's a lot on the line, not just your time of your life, big chunk of time in your life, but also financial, emotional, and everything else. So you need to keep due consideration. And the first factor is, do you get along by being yourself? If you get along well by being yourself, hey, that's a great start. And I say that's a start because that's not the only factor you need. There's another one. Well, there's actually two more. The second factor is, do you share the same values? Now, whenever people hear about values, a lot of people are put off by it. They think, oh, conservative stuff and all these Christian values, I don't want to hear about it. But it is very important. And when I say values, I'm not talking about, like sharing the same values or beliefs in human rights or animal rights or so forth. Because, hey, no one gets divorced because they don't agree with their partner's views on human or animal rights, do they? No one ever puts down the reason or says that's the reason why they got divorced or the relationship did not work out. Yeah? When it comes to values, and a very important values in marriage, it relates to family and money values. Okay, when I say family, there's been breakups in marriages where one partner is not happy that their spouse is spending so much time with their family or their family is so much a part of their lives, they're not used to it. Because there are certain cultures that are not that closely knit with the family, and there are cultures that are very closely knit with their family. And so you might have one party or one side being upset, and the other party or partner has no idea why. Hey, this is normal. What's wrong? What's your problem? Why are you having an issue with this? And that party's not used to it, or they're not used to their spouse telling her or his parents what's going on in their lives. I don't want other people to know what I'm doing, so why are you off telling your parents? And so to speak. And that's why when issues and problems arises. And also there's the dreaded M word again, and money. They say money is the root of all evil, but it's very necessary because money represents a lot of things. It represents values as well. Look, as I'm saying, if you don't agree with money, it will never work out. With a spender and a saver, it will never work out because one person is used to spending that money, it's their freedom, but the other person is used to keeping money, and that makes them happy, provides some sort of security. And for the saver to look and see that their partner is spending willy-nilly money they've either had a hand in bringing in. If not a hand in bringing in, then it's money that would have been able to provide for them with this and that, sort of need or stashed away for a rainy day because that's what they're used to, then it's painful. It's painful to them to see that money being spent out. And for the person that's a spender, they feel really frustrated and constrained that their partner doesn't want to spend, and they can't understand why the partner doesn't want to spend and have a comfortable life and enjoy things. So what happens with a compromise? As all these experts say, make a compromise, go meet each other halfway. That's normally the response of most people. So you've gone from either party suffering, okay, because it's suffering for a saver to see the spender spending that much money, and it's suffering for the spender to have to be constrained and not being able to spend freely as much as they're used to. And if they compromise and meet halfway away, maybe the spender spends less. So we're like, just share the suffering then. Instead of one person taking the whole suffering, all the suffering, we'll share it. So it's going to be the spender would spend less, so they're going to still feel constrained. They're not able to spend as much as they like to, so they're not happy. The saver, well, it's less money than what that was being leaked out and spent before, but it's still far more than what they're comfortable with, so they're still going to suffer. So you still have both partners suffering. Why insist on a relationship where you're both going to suffer? Is what I say. So you have two savers together, great. They'll be like-minded. They'll save and have a beautiful nest egg and build a beautiful house together. You have two spenders together, and they're able to spend willy-nilly as much as they want. Their partner is not going to stop them. Actually, the partner's going to help them spend as well. So there'll be no problems. The only problem is that eventually the money will run out. Okay, and then then that's when they'll split up because there's no more money. Though often than not, a spender does not end up with a spender, and the saver doesn't end up with a saver. Ends up someone's unhappy, and the saver ends up with a spender, because I guess for the saver there's more money around that they can spend, and for the saver, I guess it's difficult. It then becomes difficult for them to leave because they're emotionally invested in that relationship, so to speak. But also they'll think that, okay, if I don't cut back on my own spending, then it'll be okay. I'll save by cutting back on my own spending. And normally then they'll have to keep it a secret from their partner, because if their partner knows there's more money available because they've sacrificed on their spending on themselves, then hey, can spend more. And it's really bad situation. So your money values have to match. Okay? No two ways about it. Now, the final thing is, what I mentioned before, is having shared goals. You both need to have the same goals. Okay. Now, what I'm talking about is major goals and so forth, in terms of which country you're going to live in, what you want to achieve in life, and so forth. Because if you both have the same goals, that's fantastic. You both work together to achieve your mutual goals. So you've got double the resources to achieve that same goal. And so you're far likely to achieve that and get to your point. Okay. However, if you have different goals, again, the thing about they sprouting, compromise. How about we compromise instead? Or you can't really compromise, because if you have different goals, what it really means is one person's got to give up their goal to go with the other person, please their goal. And you think they'll be happy? Might say yes. Oh, look, we'll go with what you want to do. They're going to be unhappy, and eventually it will lead to resentment because they've given up what they wanted in life for their partner. So that's not going to end well. So the final thing, you have different goals, forget it too. It will not work, and it'd be totally unfair to ask any one of those partners to give up their goal for the other person. So that's a thing that you have to match up onto as well. So as I listed those 3 factors, you have to meet every one of them. Okay, it is very important. Like most people, might match up with one. And that's not enough. You need all 3. Now we're coming towards the end of our show. We've gone through Bennifer Mark II, or Bennifer even, Jennifer Lopez and Ben Affleck. Yes, they've been in the news again for not so good reasons, thinking that everyone knows they've separated and heading towards divorce. It's just a matter of making it final now. I mean, they're both basically given up on their relationship. And this is like a second go for them. Some 20 years ago, they got together, fell in love. It was a huge media storm at that time. The media was all intense on them, all the gossip columns and so forth, calling them Bennifer, naming them Bennifer. And they got engaged and even had a wedding date set, and then they broke up. Went their separate ways, married other people, and then a few years ago, they happened to both be single at the same time. Came back to basically, I guess, this unfulfilled, unrequited love, to pick up where they left off and get married like they didn't before, and basically, have a second go at it and fulfill what they didn't get to do. And they did get married. 2023, and a year later, 2024, it seems like it's over. And so what was the problem? So I've gone through their charts and had a look now, and fundamentally, well, their charts are not that compatible. You see, they did not really have combinations with each other, and the more combinations you have with each other, the greater the attraction and the greater the stability it is. So, which begs the question, why did they get together in the first place and twice? And that I had to look at their luck cycles, and it was in their luck cycles. So luck cycles are these time blocks where you pass through in your life, and things that happen in your life is based on the interactions between your personal birth chart and those luck cycles. And with them, those luck cycles either activated their spouse palace, which means, yes, relationships, love, and marriage can get activated. And so they were feeling it, and also for each other then. And if each other's luck cycles that they pass through benefits you or makes you attracted, then that's also the go as to why they got back together and they were feeling it. But once that period has passed, then that's the other thing with relying on luck cycles, because there's a definite time beginning and an end. And so when you pass that, then the feelings are gone. And those are the type of couples that should not get together in the first place, because it's only ever going to be temporary. Fine if you don't intend for it to be anything other than for temporary reasons. You're not looking at something permanent. As those relationships would not be permanent. If I was doing a reading on those type of couples, or someone was asking, should I marry this person? Are we great together? I would have to say no. And I would not recommend this pairing at all. Okay? So now we know the reasons why they had 2 goes at it and why it did not work out. So nothing wrong with them or anything they did personally that was wrong, that did not make the relationship succeed. It's just they're really not compatible with each other, fundamentally. The reasons why they got together was in the charts, and it was only ever going to be a temporary thing. But that's not to say that marriage for everyone else is not going to be great. And I've gone through the benefits of marriage. And benefits of marriage is enormous. You have a far greater advantage being married than you are single. However, really big caveat is that it's the right partner. You are both acting as a team. Okay? team players, because then you've got someone to have your back. I mean, it's just like, trying to work with just one hand and going for it. But if you've got another hand that's there helping you and working together in sync, you achieve far more than double and help over the one person that has to only work with one hand. Okay, but that is, you have to work together. Otherwise, if both hands were off doing their own thing, there is no point to it. It's just like you have a carriage, a horse-drawn carriage. One horse can go so far, but if you have a second horse on them, you get to your destination far quicker because you have both horses pulling. However, they have to be working together and wanting to go to the same destination together. Or if you have both horses wanting to go in separate directions, it's a disaster. What's going to happen? This carriage will tip over if that's what happens. And then in that case, you're better off just having the one horse, okay, pulling the carriage, because then you'll get to it far faster than having a disaster. Much better than having a disaster. So like I say, the benefits of marriage are great. The companionship, the love, having some financial as well, being more social, and being able to grow as a person, because your partner not only brings with them another set of skills, hopefully, but also another way of looking at things and consulting with you, because you're both on the same mind, you both want the same things, and you both want to get to the same destination. That's why the main factors that you must match up on, and there is no compromise. It will not work unless you match up on the three. One, getting along just by being yourself, just as you are, okay? So if you get along just as you are, it will last the distance in that regard, because then you're always yourself. You can always be yourself. And you can only ever be happy if you're able to be yourself. Okay? I haven't heard of come across anyone being happy not being themselves. Secondly, you have to have the same values, share the same values, and it's money and family values. Those are the big things. And thirdly, you have to have the same goals. You have to want to go the same direction. You have to want to achieve the same thing, have the same thing. So if your goal is to, work and build up enough so you can retire in the Bahamas, so forth, and have a life there, your partner also needs to want the same thing. Have they build up and retire in that sort of environment, maybe Bahamas, maybe Jamaica or Fiji or something, but you get what I mean, the same sort of thing. I guess then it's specific countries then are negotiable, but it's retiring in a tropical place, in an island, and that sort of thing. Or if your goal is just to toddle along and not do much, then your partner also needs to do the same thing. Otherwise, your partner is not going to be happy with you, feel frustrated and leave. Or if one person needs to give up their goal to take on yours and just do that, it will not work either. They're not going to be happy, and resentment is going to form. They're going to feel resentment. It's human nature. You cannot avoid it. Okay, and you cannot blame them either. So those three main things: get along just as you are, have the same values, that's money and family values, and have the same goals. That's the three basic factors that you need to match up on. And on top of everything else, you both have to understand and be willing to enact and be team players, and treat this as the partnership that it really is in life. And once you do, you have far more benefits than anyone that is single, and far better off than anyone single. Have more, achieve more, get to where you want quicker and easier as well. Okay, so on that note, we're coming towards the end of the program. Follow me on Facebook, where I will post updates on the show and what's going on. And if you comment to the show, anything you'd like me to cover, feel free to leave a comment there as well. And if I'm able to, then I will cover that as well. So, and also let me know what you think about my advice, whether or not you agree. Or if you know anyone that's been through what I've covered, then let us know as well. If you agree, then that's great. Great, your feedback, and I'll continue with that. And if not, then let me know why. Okay, and then we might have this discussion. So on that note, that's the end of the show. And don't forget to catch me same time next week. And until then, it's bye for now.